What's up, guys? All right, let's wait for some peeps to jump in. Go from here. All right, let's go dive into Bitcoin here. All right, we got some people jumping in. What's up, guys? We got that crazy move yesterday. Sports Zone, how you doing, man? The one that I'm trying to remember your name, man. How you doing, bro? Trip, how you doing, bro? Crazy V-shaped recovery off the 50-day EMA. Super, what's up? Moo Juice. How you guys doing? We had a wild move yesterday. Just went straight down. Rashad. Okay, I gotta remember your name. Rashad. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Good morning. You sure like the stream. Thanks, man. Can you review Bell? Okay, yeah. You threw it in there quick, so yeah, I can take a look at that right after we peek at Bitcoin. Okay, so I'll burn it to my brain, your name there. I don't remember. I don't know how to read the symbols and stuff like that, so it's tough for me to, yeah. All right, cool. Well, we had a bear flag yesterday. We kind of already knew about that. We're talking about behavior yesterday of it, like having this rapidly extended volume. We hit off the previous value area low, here. We're blocked by the sell wall. The sell wall kept chasing the price action, suppressing the price action down. And then we finally broke out of this value area. We confirmed the uptrending momentum as resistance. We hit here, it got that break of structure, confirming when we were going to leave. And you initially want to, if you're going to be jumping in on this, you'd initially be watching out for this low here as a primary barrier concern. But the liquidity from that was low enough to expect for us to at least retest the value area low. And we just like melted right through it. There was some weird news on Twitter, like Donald Trump and Elon Musk were fighting like a bunch of toddlers. So I feel like it might have enhanced the volatility. We already knew it was going to go down, but I just feel like it might have enhanced the volatility. We just hit this previous value low as resistance again. We had very little opportunity to like get in down here unless you're using like the low time frames, like maybe the 5 minutes. You could have got in during this double bottom structure in this like really high confluence zone for reversals. I didn't give the signal of entry, but I gave everyone a warning that this was a zone that we gotta prepare for reversals inside the community there. So hopefully some people were able to use this in confluence with their own rules to define a safe entry. I always give a little small list of rules that you can look for when we're inside these zones, so you can apply it alongside your own rules. But here, yeah, we had that double bottom structure. We broke past the supply concern. We got acceptance back inside the valley area. We just been doing a weird, awkward, slow crawl up. Just like looks like retail accumulation. And now we're at an area of concern where we can anticipate a potential reversal. If we're looking at the 5-minute time frame for Bitcoin, we have a key level right here that if broken, it could induce a short-term reversal back down, at least to the VWAP. So I'd be marking this level right here, just to be aware that we could get some consolidation against this value area and form a new one just below it. So here is where I can expect a move, or the pathing would bring us to about here before we're getting a bounce again. And then from here, we could find out if we can establish a range or not, using this as our local highs right here. All right, so that's Bitcoin. So I'm biased short term to be bearish. If we zoom out on the daily, I do want to check something that I haven't checked yet before. I want to see if we got the lower low, and we did. Okay, so we swept the liquidity from these lows here. So we got a bearish change of character occurrence on the daily. So that could spark, like, I know we've already kind of started from 112K, right? We had lots of opportunities to front run this break. We did a lot of shorts throughout this journey along the way down. Some people might still be in that 112K short. And if you are, congratulations for holding through these bounces along the way. But yeah, we got the change of character occurrence after we broke that. So it's common for that to, for the liquidity from the change of character occurrence to induce a pullback, and we're getting that now. But I feel like now more than ever, it's a lot more likely for us to get the acceptance inside this previous macro value area from here, right? So once we start to try to grab the newly added liquidity that was just added from the bounce that we just got, we would then see the value area high have the opportunity to act as resistance in the lower time frames. So if we come down, scoop that liquidity, if we come back up from that liquidity grab, would fail to get back above the value area high, we'd then have acceptance into this value area and likely get a rotation down to at least 97K. And if we break through this, then 93K is the next spot. And then maybe from there, we go range bound for a few months. We'll see. Like, based on the momentum, it's possible that we can just range for a few months if we got stuck down there again. I kind of prefer if we didn't. I prefer if we just, like, change a character, then come up here and get another break, and then just go range bound up here instead. If we generated a range up here, that would also create a reset in the market to allow us to have that bull market extension. If we range bound down here, then we have more barriers to worry about when we're trying to get to new all-time high. So I'm hoping that we just break this downtrending momentum here. Oh, sorry, in this area, so we can prepare for range bound price action up above this area. And this is kind of textbook to what I prepare for if we were going to have a range. Because, like, whenever we have these, like, impulse moves, build a base, another impulse move, the moment you get that change of character occurrence, you can assume that from that high, from the change of character to the demand zone created from that right prior to that impulse move, that this would be the floor of the potential range. Same way if we're going into a downtrend, right? Coming down, build a base, come down again, build a supply concern, get a change of character occurrence. You'd assume that this could be the top side of the range, and they go range bound here. So Bitcoin's kind of building that posture right now where we got a double top. It wasn't a change of character occurrence, but we got a double top, and we're coming down to that base where we have that impulse move, sideways price action, another big move. So you consider it a form of demand. So now we could be range bound with this helping establish the floor, and this being the ceiling, where we can range between the floor and the ceiling here. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for, but, like, again, getting acceptance into this value area here would undo everything I just said, and we can just come right back down to 97K, then down to 93K. But the current price action, we have 12 hours left on this candle. I don't think we will engulf, but if we did, that would look insanely bullish on the daily if we engulf past this area. So if we get if the daily candle closes above 104,750, it could look extremely bullish for Bitcoin over the next week or so. Zooming in, like I said, we're probably just gonna be kind of hitting our head off the previous value area low. This is a key level. So if this level breaks with the candle close on the 5-minute, all we need is a 5-minute close below this level. We came down to test it just now, but yeah, wasn't able to confirm with price acceptance yet. But if we get that price acceptance, the VWAP is where I'll be targeting. I probably won't be able to trade it without the proper structure because the pathing from that entry to the target is so small that the R&R wouldn't be really worth it. So unless we come up, maybe get an SFP off this wick, you could potentially front run this break to go down here with that SFP. So we can mark these bodies right here. And you can mark this wick is enough because there's liquidity added from that wick. But you kind of prefer for the top to be swept. Let's get the magnet out. Make sure it's stuck on there. There we go. Control click. There we go, clone it. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but that's a good spot to prepare for potential SFP. Close back inside of range. Watch this low, and then target here. Um, 139K jobs added. So that'd be good for the DXY strength. It looked super weak yesterday. Yeah, DXY is up a little bit. Bitcoin's going up alongside it, which is great. Total 3 is up. Others dollars is up. So altcoins must be doing well today. Yeah, altcoins are all green today. All right, let's take a look at your guys' requests. We'll wait for Bitcoin to paint its picture. Let's see. So the first request was by Trip. Can we review BEL when we can? Yeah, let's do it. So BEL, what is that? We'll pull it up on Binance. Okay, there's more to it. I thought, since I haven't really heard of it, that I would have been brand new. It's kind of young. Not too bad. 5 years. Jeez. Okay. Surprised I don't know about this one. We got a down. Let's pull this fixed range here. From here to here. Because we need to get acceptance back in it before you can include this data. So try to keep your fixed range just still until you have a break of structure acceptance into it. Don't keep evolving it with the price action. This is not a visible range volume profile. It's a fixed range volume profile. So once we get the price action come up, we got to watch the value area low as potential resistance. Right now, we're building an awkward descending regression trend here. Pull a horizontal array, mark your value area low, mark your point of control, and mark your value area high. I just want to zoom out one more time. I want to see where the wicks are, because the wicks tell you where the liquidity is resting. We did just grab the liquidity here. And all that's left between here and all of this range is here. So I wonder if we'll come and sweep that. Get your magnets out, stick it right to the wick. So we got quite a bit of a deviation away from the value area. Pull out the fib. So from the fib level, if you stick it to your value area high and to your value area low, well, let me turn off the magnet. Right to your value area low like this. There's settings to allow you to see the deviation away from a value area. Because there are some levels like the 25% and 50% level that you could use in Confluence to help you define a potential reversal. And because if we start seeing like the 50% level act as resistance, like we're starting to see here, it normally means we're going to be establishing a new value area and not try to return to the existing one. So we have usually tons of confluence around the 25% level on most value areas and most assets, where you can see a turnaround usually shortly afterwards. And you can see all that confluence right on screen here, right? But yeah, this is kind of like the last straw. Prepare for potential consolidation that could induce a brand new value area, or to push towards a new one. And in this case, we wouldn't be pushing towards a new one. We could be going towards the sweep liquidity to create a brand new low in price discovery for BEL. If we get a full body close below this, then we're definitely going to be range bound, likely here for a little bit. And yeah, be in price discovery for this asset. So just be very mindful of that. We're seeing some relative weakness there. What we want to see is structure to define a reversal so we can start targeting the value area and then hopefully get acceptance back inside it. Because you could have a really good opportunity here for a strong reversal to this area, but it's kind of a make it or break it moment for this thing. What I would prefer before trying to get it on a reversal, using the daily structure, I would want to see a sweep of these local lows, this low here specifically, right here. Come down, grab that, then break the high. So we get that daily change of character occurrence and a double bottom structure. And then we can start targeting up here. However, you got to treat this like a potential supply concern right here. So if we come back up there, we'll likely get consolidation as people start to sell. And then if the buyers are strong enough to have that consolidation bring us a break to the upside, then we'll get that continuation up. Watch these highs again, liquidity resting up here. Then ultimately that will be your primary target. There's that 50-day EMA that would pretty much help give you the answer of whether or not we're going to, if we get that acceptance above the 50-day EMA, we see active support, then we can start targeting there like no problem. Think of this like the final boss. By the time we get up here and we try to break past this, the 50 days should be caught up. Go to the hourly, see what kind of picture we got. We got a tweezer reaction. Yeah, this is a local price action. So this is the double bottom that we're looking at in the daily. We got the downtrending momentum here. We're hitting it right now as resistance. So how we'd front run this double bottom neckline break, if it were to occur, if it was picture perfect, this is what I would want. I want price action to come down, grab that liquidity, come up, break that neckline, and then that would induce a move to at least the value area high, and we hope for continuations to break this neckline. We break that neckline, then the daily structure would likely bring us at least to the supply concern where we can hope for a continuation. We have a little local one here too, which was likely the reason why we had this pullback to begin with. So we want to see that confirmation of support off of this level. So that's BEL. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. We want this the sweep, break, then break, and work our way up. So yeah, I got momentum, value area confluence. You got quite a bit of confluence here for a reversal, so hopefully we get it. All right. Next request is Ethereum from Brett. Let's pull up Ethereum. Let's go back to the Bitcoin chart really quick, see what's going on in the 5-minute. Let's move this back over here. All right. Yeah, so just to recap, anyone who's just jumping in now, we are on the 5-minute time frame. We have a key level here that if broken with a 5-minute candle close, we likely get a rotation to the VWAP. If we come up here, sweep this liquidity, but close below this orange line for acceptance back inside the range, then we would SFP. This is the primary target of the SFP, but if we break that low, it could be a front run to the VWAP. It's kind of like the only way to safely trade this with proper R&R is try to get the SFP if one were to occur. We have confluence there for an SFP with the previous value area low, previous value area high being there. So hopefully we sweep that, get an opportunity there. And then this will be our primary target. But ultimately this is where I'm thinking the pathing could go much further down. If we instead just get the candle close, yeah, we'll probably go down here, but the R&R might not be worth it. Okay, so Ethereum. Let's take a peek. Let's grab Ethereum chart. Looked at it a couple days ago. It probably fell like everything else. Oh, we lost momentum too. Okay. Let's update this fixed range up until about here. We don't want to include this data yet. Let's move this here. Got some noise here we can delete. Okay. So we had this little bit of ascending support and resistance inside of this valley area here. We've been range bound here for a bit. It's been awesome, honestly. Really good opportunities within this valley area. Now we're using it potentially as resistance. So we have confluence with Bitcoin trying to retest a valley area, right? If we go over here, we zoom out a bit. We're retesting a valley area here, trying to get acceptance back inside, right? Bitcoin had a much more aggressive drawdown than Ethereum did. See here, so there's some signs of relative strength there. So there might see some shift in the dominance for Ethereum over Bitcoin because that drawdown is not nearly as bad as Bitcoin's was. We're testing a valley area. So at this point, we could see it act as resistance and then come back down to our local demand zone here that we generated. We are looking like we just had an SFP just now. We swept this liquidity here with this wick and closed back inside the range. Unfortunately, where it closed is a little awkward. We have a little of a base here that could act as support. So this could induce a move down to this demand zone here, but we have a little bit of a base here that could induce that bounce. So it's a little awkward. If the candle closed a little bit higher, well, a lot of bit higher, if it closed like around this area instead of way down here, that would have been honestly a decent short. The wick is a little bit aggressive, so your stop loss would be pretty steep, but let's see. So it basically did what we want Bitcoin to do when it comes to trying to confirm this drop. If these candles were switched, it'd look a little bit different. It would look just like an SFP, but they're not. They're obviously not switched. These ones are pretty much exactly positioned the way we want it to be for a chance for it to go down. If we end up getting acceptance into this value area, the break of structure, continuation, then we could actually see a potential rotation back up. I wouldn't be too mindful of the point of control. What I'll be more focused on is this here, like this local supply concern where we had this massive drop. There might be residual sell orders there. So I'd mark this zone as an area of confluence for potential shorts. But if we break through it, then awesome. Then you can start targeting the value area high while being mindful of the POC at that point. But I think we're going to hit our heads off this and rotate down and then try again. Like that. If I were to mark a key level, let's go to 5 minute. I guess it's right beside us. I'm going to look at the liquidity heat maps actually. So it might be around here instead. 2469. All right. And symbol. I search up Ethereum. Use the 24-hour for what we're looking for. Oh, this is Bitcoin. What are we doing? There we go. Oh, we got some stack, about $1 million stack there. Nothing too crazy. Last 24 hours, there's more liquidity above us than there's below us. $4.3 million above that local high near the point of control. So we already got the change of character occurrence coming in. Yeah. So we got our change of character here on the 5 minute. Right? So we got that 2 candle pullback, higher high. Got the break structure here, generating this as our strong low. We broke the strong low with this candle. We got the change of character, came up, broke this, change of character again. So here, just a key level that I'm going to watch here for potential reversal. Same kind of concept, demand zone here. I'd watch this along the way down. If you get a change of character occurrence here, it can induce a reversal. If the consolidation could also bring us down to the VWAP, where I'd be concerned for a potential reversal of that too. The VWAP is currently in line with the previous highs here. So we have some confluence there as well for our bounce. A little bit choppy, so we a tough one to trade safely without monitoring pretty closely. We might be able to find a better opportunity out there. It's best to try to chart your favorite, like maybe your favorite 5 assets, and then out of those 5, find the one that has the least amount of barrier concerns, the best R&R, and just take the one trade rather than focus on the higher quality trades. But so far, nothing really safe to jump in on. Let's go to virtuals for Richmond. Do you think we will SFP the last low? We can find out. Good morning, Cameron. What's up, man? All right, let's take a look at virtuals. We've got a virtuals chart. We looked at this yesterday. We just broke this evolving momentum. We're testing the more broad momentum. We grabbed, this is the little demand zone here. We had a demand zone here. Bounced off of it. We had liquidity rested here on virtuals. We just swept that liquidity. We're double bottomed off previous point of control after grabbing the liquidity below these lows. Zoom out a bit. Now, I'm not sure if you're talking about these lows. Oh, SFP, the last low. I think maybe you're talking about this, the newly added one. Okay. So here, we might be a little too far away from it, man. It's not impossible, but so here we are coming in to this a weak value area. It's not a very strong one. You can tell by the how it's established here. If we see a lot of flatlining where there's not very much interest, you don't really want to depend too much on that value area. But here we got acceptance within it. Zoom in on the 15-minute. We got that break of structure, higher high. I'm going to get that rotation up. We have a 15-minute order block here to worry about. That can induce a reversal. We can delete this. If we get above that, we can watch these local highs here as potential resistance. And then from there, I think we'll likely go range bound for virtuals after that. We got a... Now you're talking about an SFP. Yeah, I think that the only way that would be possible is if we had such a harsh rejection that we lost, momentum around this area and then came down pretty aggressively back down to the POC. Let me just mark things a little bit more properly. So we got momentum here. We can delete this. We'll leave this here for now. We're about to break past it, like it's not even there. That's why you got to use the order books to help validate your trend lines. And then we got a value area high here. Yeah, cool. So I'll be looking for the confluence of price action getting squeezed against the value area high, losing momentum, getting that change of character, and then you can target the value area low. If we pass the value area low, then we'll be watching the previous point of control here alongside with the 50-day EMA. Because around that area, it's going to be a zone of confluence for a reversal. The VWAP will likely be caught up by quite a bit by then. So you might have the confluence of breaking the VWAP alongside with breaking the momentum and the change of character for that short. So I'll be preparing for shorts around like 184.93 for virtuals. Just make sure you wait for the change of character. Don't just jump in because I said this is an area, right? We have lots of liquidity likely resting above these highs. So that could be used as exit liquidity for anyone who entered down here. And we have the supply concern here too that's suppressing the price action down. So lots of confluence here for a short. And one thing that might help with your visualization on that is just mark your supply concern here with the box. Send it back. Grab a triangle tool. And just use this as a reminder to tell you that there's confluence here for potential shorts. And here's the link for that in case you need it. Oscar saying he's getting interested in staking. Can you explain why you choose to stake virtual specifically? Yeah, I love single asset staking. So there's different types of staking out there. There's liquidity pool staking, which is kind of the more popular one or the most known one. It's when you are taking one asset. Let's say, for example, like Bitcoin. Let's not use Bitcoin, actually. Let's use Ethereum as an example. So if you're using like Ethereum and you were to buy Ethereum, let's say you buy like $100 worth, and then you go and buy $100 worth of another asset. It has to be of equal value. So let's say it's USDT, right? For like $100. And then you merge these two together, so they're worth a total of $200 as what's known as a liquidity pool token, or also known as like LP tokens. When you put those LP tokens into a liquidity pool, you earn money in the fees. So when people swap between the two, you earn a percentage of that swap. So they get charged by a DEX, like a decentralized exchange, the fees, and you get a partial amount of that. And based on the volume between those two assets, like how popular it is, you're going to earn more and more in terms of APR. So the APR will go up based on demand. And on top of that, some exchanges also don't just collect from fees, they also will boost it by contributing like third-party tokens, usually their own DEX token, for example, like Uniswap's token, or if you're on the Binance Smart Chain, it would be like Cake, for example. Um, and that will help induce more participants, and then you get bonus APR from that. The downside with doing LP staking is that you can suffer from what's called impermanent loss. So the Ethereum and USDT example isn't really great for that because the USDT is stable and it won't it won't deviate from a range, but Ethereum would. So if we had Ethereum and the other LP token was, let's say, Uniswap's token, and they start deviating away from each other and from their range of value, then you can actually lose money from the LP that you contributed, while also still making money from the staking rewards and stuff like that. The reason why I like the virtuals one, to answer your question finally, is because you don't need to merge two tokens together. It's called single asset staking. I'd recommend single asset staking to a lot of beginners who want to get into staking so they don't have to worry about the assets behavior in their ranges, because you're going to need to know some trading knowledge to get good at staking if you want to maximize your profits as much as you possibly could. I do have like a little lesson on it in the course, but I do plan on making like a whole a course just on staking and on like the DeFi network in general kind of thing. But yeah, single asset staking is the safest way to go. Or if you are merging two stable coins together, it's almost like the equivalent of single asset staking because it's two tokens that are stable at one price. So if you stake, for example, USDT and USDC together, those are one of the safer ones to contribute liquidity towards, because you don't have to worry about impermanent loss. Or belts too. If you're someone who wants to contribute liquidity to a belt is basically, let me show you an example of a belt. It's easier to show than it is to teach that one. But basically, a belt is when you're adding liquidity to bridges, a bridge system, to allow people to swap between. What am I doing? Let's go to Bel Direct for some reason. Let's see if I have a belt link or something. Yeah, I don't remember the link for a good belt, but basically, it's when you're contributing stablecoin liquidity to allow people to swap between networks and not just swap on the existing network for one token to another. Just allow someone to bridge to another network, like from the Binance Smart Chain to the Ethereum network, for example. And contributing liquidity for that's usually fairly liquidity. Yeah, that's fairly good for gains, but it's more about security than anything, because you're gonna be lower APR from that, but you're gonna be getting a lot more than what you get from a bank, for example, keeping your funds on the side burner. King wants to go over Litecoin. Yeah, we can do that. But yeah, if you have any more questions about that, just reach out. I'm actually in the process of like teaching someone the template and the communication that we want to enforce for liquidity pool as like a signal. So you get not just signals for when to buy or sell from our community for trades, but also signals on which LP pools are out there that are safe, and the APR that you can expect and how you participate in them. And we're going to have a course coupled with that, so that you can take the course and then you'll be able to easily follow the signals by using like MetaMask or Phantom Wallet and stuff like that. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Last time we looked at it was a couple days ago on a 3-minute. Absolutely destroyed our target. It's one of those, I'm sure everyone's been through this before, but it was definitely one of those times where you kind of shoot yourself in the foot because you listen to all your exit criteria, all your exit rules, and sometimes your exit rules makes you leave a little bit too soon. We broke momentum here. We got the double bottom. We got the change of character off of value high. So I'm like, the market's screaming at me to close. So I closed. And then very shortly afterwards, the entire world catches on fire and it drops from here. And of course, the negative mindset of that is people will put themselves in mental debt to what they could have made. It's like, oh, if I held this trade this much longer, I would have made this much more money. And then that kind of mental behavior makes them end up holding their trades too long in the future, and they start burning themselves over and over again because of one situation like this. And those exit rules can get you out early, but they also can keep you in your trade much longer most of the time. So it's good to have exit rules and not be mad at them if they end up doing something like this to you. But anyways, we've gotten below this valley area here at 84.56, and now we're finding support back inside of it. So we're seeing some relative strength with Litecoin in that sense, where Bitcoin and Ethereum are fighting a valley area, and Litecoin is has already gotten acceptance within one. So we could get a rotation back up to the valley area high. However, we have a supply concern right at the point of control. So if we do continue to go up, I don't think we're going to go up for very much longer with the confluence of this being here and the previous point of control here. So we climb back up. I'll be watching out for 86.33 as resistance, where it'll likely cause a pullback to hit this value area low again. We're also watching this momentum. It's relatively thick evolving momentum. It's relatively steep. So it's internal to the 5-minute, and then we have 15-minute momentum here. So if this falls, doesn't mean we're going to come all the way back down, especially if it's prior to what happened to that value area low. I think I might actually deleted it. But yeah, coming up, we could lose this level and bounce. Just be mindful so that this could also hold as support. Watch the order books to see if there are buy walls here or buy walls here to help guide you into knowing that this trend line might be honored. But yeah, this is now a local demand zone. So if we come back down, this could be honored as a form of support after we likely hit our head off this area here. I'm guessing the course explains the basics. I've never staked before. Ah, man, you're missing out. Staking is like the dividend stocks of crypto. So if you have money, if you have Ethereum, for example, aside, or if you have an asset set aside that you're not going to be trading, that you plan on holding long term, try to do some research on staking and try to find something that you can stake it in so you can earn passive income while you're waiting for the time to sell. But just make sure that you do not participate in staking pools that lock your funds. If there's a lock on it, and you don't know how to do your due diligence on what's safe and what's not safe, some locks are safe, but others are meant to lock you for a potential backdoor to take your funds. So be very cautious if you see a lock on it. You can send me the link, or you can send ChatGPT the link, and ChatGPT will probably tell you whether or not it's safe. But you still gotta be able to do your due diligence on that. Okay, so Solana, yeah. Okay, so we can take a look at Solana. I hope that helps with virtuals. So yeah, short-term bearish is what I'm preparing for. Is that reversal off the POC, 86.33, change of character confluence. You can use the 5-minute time frame. So if you see that 5-minute change of character, then you'd be targeting down here where for some reason I have a text file starting to draw. There we go, right here. So if I were to zone this for you to make it easier for you to see, this is the bearish zone. Send it back. Where is it? There we go. And then this would be the little bullish zone here, where you prepare for the reversal. And the pathing that I'm expecting, so to grab this wick, pull back, come up, something like that. And you can wait for like a change character occurrence. And then you could potentially, if the R&R is worth it, short to this zone here, we anticipate a potential reversal. We might go range bound from here. But if we end up getting continuation, then we could sweep the liquidity from this low. Yeah, Andrew saying staking is a must for sure. Learning on chain will change everything. Yeah, staking is like level 3 crypto. Like if you buy crypto on Coinbase, that's level 1. You know, trading it on an exchange that's not Coinbase or Kraken, like the onboarding platforms, and that's like level 2. And then diving into the actual like dexes and liquidity pools and the DeFi, like decentralized finance, this like the lending and all that stuff. That's like level 3, level 4 area. And so when you start going down the rabbit hole, that's the stuff that's like what crypto was made for. It's all the decentralized stuff. And so you think crypto is cool, wait until you get into the decentralized. It gets really interesting. Like the DeFi is what really drew me in. Like I'm sure everyone has gotten into crypto because of a scam. Like I got into crypto because of a scam. If it wasn't for that scam, I would not be a trader today, because those scammers got me really interested in trading because they were offering like 3% per day on like their and their scam HYAP reward system. So yeah, I got scammed by them, but like they got me really interested in trading because that's what they were quote unquote saying that they got their rewards from. And after they rugged everyone, I still became interested in trading because like when I did research and I saw like, oh, these guys were offering 3% per day. And then I looked up online from all the, Carl and Moon and Crypto and Crypto Zombie and some of like the crazy like scam YouTubers basically making like 100% per trade, stuff like that. It was so easy to get drawn into this stuff. And then when you really dive into it and learn everything, you realize like a lot of stuff that they say is just to try to get clicks. And when you're a little more realistic into trading, you're going to be focusing on like trying to use lower leverage, not focusing on higher leverage, try to control your margin, use proper risk management, and like only risking lose 1% and not your entire account. Like everything that you're taught by most of these YouTubers is completely wrong. So you got to find the people that you trust. So yeah, Solana for you, Andrew. We're coming in so similar to everything else, kind of crazy V-shaped recovery, retesting the previous valley area here, hitting off of previous valley area high from historical price action over here. So we got acceptance into this valley area. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it better. So when we came down, we lost this local valley area. Did we sweep that? Oh man, we're probably off by a hairline, which is kind of rude. A lot of people are probably preparing for that sweep. Mark this level. Yeah, I don't see it taken. But yeah, we got the acceptance to the valley area. I didn't see that sweep taken, at least not on the Binance chart. We got like looks like it was guarded potentially by a buy wall. Came up, got back. This is the moment where we kind of confirmed that we're going to be leaving the previous valley area. And this is when we got acceptance into the active valley area. And now we're kind of crawling our way back up to the valley area high and previous valley area low. So we're in an area of confluence to prepare for a reversal for Solana right now. we can use the 5-minute time frame. Got some momentum away. With 3 hours, we could potentially range bound for. Andrew's saying he's collecting points every day from staking virtuals and then just collecting these AI agents and staking them. That's an income funnel. You're creating an income funnel. So you make money from one staking reward system, take those rewards to stake it somewhere else, and you're just compounding your results. I love doing that stuff. I do it with my trading sometimes too, where I'll take if I have a huge surplus at the end of the month, so I'll take my account at the end of each week or at the end of each month, depending on how well I did for that week or month, and I will pay my expenses first, right? Try my best to leave as much as I can on chain and pay myself as little as I can and just live below my means, and then have those funds like staking somewhere else, like some portion of it. I'm at the point where I don't really compound anymore my gains for my accounts. Like compounding is insanely important, especially early game. If you're starting with like $1,000 account and you're trying to get to like 100K, you're gonna want to compound like all your gains until you get there and pretend as if you don't even have the money. But treat it with as much respect as possible. Like don't just throw it into like stupid trades. So you can actually allow yourself to get to that kind of goal. Or maybe your goal is $1 million, but if you can get 10K, to 100,000, you can turn 100,000 into $1 million. It's the exact same thing. Mathematically, it's the exact same amount of effort. So yeah, so right now, guys, for Solana, I'll be waiting for, like, we're in an area where we have some potential, we have some distance away from our momentum, so I feel like we can go range bound for a little bit. We have a evolving momentum here, similar to, what was the last asset we looked at? Was it virtual that had evolving momentum? Adjust this really quick. So the pace of the buyers basically sped up. That's what I'm saying here. We have a key level right now is way down here. If that were to break, yeah, we got a little demand zone similar to, I think it was virtual that we're looking at. Yeah, we can get that full. If we break this, we could get that full rotation down to the Valerie low, but I'm confident we might actually go range bound for a little bit. But I'm bearish. I'll be preparing for shorts. Definitely preparing for shorts here. I just want a clearer picture so I can give you a better guide on what's actually like really safe to jump in on. Like this 5-minute change of character might not be enough to induce the forward return back down. We could just get that bounce off this uptrending momentum if we do get that break. If we bounce off of this and induce more liquidity below, then I'll feel a lot more confident that the sell side liquidity could induce a full move back down while watching out for the VWAP along the way. And the VWAP is flush with this little demand zone concern that I've got. So I'm hopeful that if we do come down, that we first get a bounce here so we can induce that liquidity. So I have more confidence in telling you that just a 5-minute candle close would be enough for a return back down to this area. But right now, I'm not fully confident in this level, giving that full move, especially with this momentum. So watch the order books. If that were to occur first, watch the order books here to see if there's a giant buy wall. So if there is one, it could induce a full on reversal or help with the break structure. And you'll first start with a bounce here, as if we mitigate that buy wall, and then that break structure will confirm that the buy wall is gone. But that's Solana. There's also the opportunity of a potential SFP up here. So you'd mark this high. I'd also mark this wick here. I prefer that one to be swept. And then, yeah, just make this one dotted there. So we want to have it come up, sweep that liquidity, close back inside of range. But yeah. Bitcoin, what are you doing, man? Being sluggish? Okay. That's Solana. I hope that helps you out. Just closed my knife catch on Solana, looking for a pullback. Also noticed they didn't take that low. Yeah, that low was, man, I bet everyone was waiting for that. So they didn't take action on their trades. Like that would just keep you frozen. Yeah, that if that was taken, I bet a ton more volume would have came in for sure. That would have brought in a lot of confidence in traders. We had a slow climb instead. But it did really well, considering it was a slow climb. It did extremely well. You're losing that 5-minute momentum now. Pierre, aren't there various times where you can get bots manipulating the ledger entries in the liquidation map, and then they change what they do as people act upon it? Yeah, exactly. There's these what's known as non-intentional fills. When you have non-intentional fills, you gotta be mindful of the age of your orders that are in place. There's a tool called Bookmap that allows you to see the age of the liquidity and the age of limit orders, all that stuff. And if you notice that a giant buy wall or sell wall is constantly lifting as we get a certain percentage close to it, and that's telling you that it's an algorithmic market maker doing that, and it's it's fairly common, but it's not something that should keep you away from using the tool. Because if you find that there's a bunch of liquidity in an area and is in a zone of confluence like a supply concern, then you know that you are more likely to be able to trust that liquidity, right? So I get what you're saying, but it doesn't mean you should throw the tool out and consider it not useful. Because if you start seeing the stacking confluence, that's when you start to build trust in an area. And that's why we have rules where you can't just listen to one tool. You have to listen to multiple tools simultaneously. And when the stars align where they're all telling you the exact same thing, that's how you generate rules to help you give you a probability of being right. But yeah, wouldn't throw it out the window. But it's a great question though. See what we got. Andrew saying during the next bear market, just airdrop farm for 4 to 6 months and you'll learn every chain. That's a good point. We do have a section inside of our Discord where we literally just give you alerts on airdrops. My brother Alex, he posts twice a week of airdrops that are going out, how you participate, how long they're going to last, what the total amount you could receive, but the step-by-step exact thing you need to do in order to get those airdrops are all like laid out for you. So look, every Tuesday and Thursday is the days that we try to aim to get you those updates. There's one going on right now for Hyperliquid, so if anyone who's interested in that, I recommend jumping in on it. I'll give you guys the link inside the comments here. But yeah, there's tons and tons of opportunity, and that's a really good suggestion, man. Airdrop farm, get free money while you're learning. So you're getting paid to learn, basically. That's essentially what airdrops are all about. Is just teaching you about their assets in exchange for. They usually want you to participate in a few things, like be active on their socials or in their Discord. Sometimes they're a little bit easier than that. They're not as tedious. But yeah, they're a great way to learn. Let's see. Any other assets you guys want to look at? These are great, awesome questions, by the way. It's nice to talk about something other than just trading. You know, I mean, the market's just too slow for us. Let's see if we get that SFE. Looks like we're trying to climb up. Brett wants to look at SUI. I think we can do that. I just want to see what happens here. I should probably logged into my Blowfin in case we can jump into a trade. Yeah, I'm going to do that really quick. Just gonna log into Blowfin. We do have a Blowfin tournament going on still, guys, until the 24th. Let's see how that's going. Yeah, it's up to a $10,000 prize pool. The last time we made it to about $4,000 last month, and the winner got $1,600. It's just a community-based tournament, so everyone within the community just kind of like combats against each other. This one's both a P&L and a volume-based tournament, so there's 20 different rewards. It's split up into 20 rewards. So there's a reward based on like the top 10 P&L, and there's rewards based on the top 10 volume. And I could tell that by the behavior of the person in first that they might be just trying to win the volume prize because the P&L is kind of low on it. But as long as you're not losing money, be careful doing stuff like that. But yeah, you guys are doing great. And then we have another tournament on the 26th, which is going to be pretty sweet. That tournament's going to be basically against other communities. This will be us against the world kind of thing. Last time there was about 20,000 participants. The last community tournament that we did was BitGet, and we were the top 10. I think there's about 2,000 groups, something like that. All right, I'm just getting my Google Authenticator to log into Blowfin in case we can jump in a trade here. Okay. I'm getting a bit of a vector response on the 5. All right, so I'm logged into Blowfin, so if we can jump into a trade, I can jump in with you. Okay. Now it's be the time top 1. Yeah, gotta get the community trained up so we can be in the top 3 more often. Sui. All right, so we just grabbed the liquidity from here. We were awfully close here. This candle, if it closes here, then that's an SFP from a sweep of this liquidity here. If it closes above this area, or if it especially closes above here, it'll invalidate it. But in my opinion, doesn't mean, oh, we just swept that now. Okay. Yeah, but it doesn't mean we won't find a short opportunity here. Just means we can't take the SFP. $18 seconds. And one thing we could wait for is a local one, a more local SFP where we grab the newly added liquidity here. Or that candle just closed. So we just invalidated an SFP. It's not going to happen. We swept this. If we get to like a little bit of a higher high, then close, we could potentially foresee it draw back down, but it's not looking like we're going to get that rejection. I'm trying to get that break inside this valley area. What is Litecoin doing? Still going up. Solana. Ethereum looking strong. Is Bitcoin DOS going down then? Yeah, it is. Okay. DOS going down a little bit. Yeah, Ethereum's got some relative strength right now. Getting it in there. We'll see if we get that rejection off this valley area or not. I'm preparing for structure for a reversal rather than continue. Getting in the continuation is not going to be really safe anyway, so I'm more positioned to prepare for shorts. And Solana, yeah, Solana's not reacting much. But I think Solana's not reacting much because of the fact that we are approaching more of a bearish zone. So there's a lot less confidence, right? So it will be slow and sluggish. Litecoin should be doing the same, be like going into the supply concern. And then when these guys start to cool down, right? Like Bitcoin starts to cool down, Ethereum starts to cool down, these guys will be at their bearish points and they'll have more of a harsh rejection as they will likely have a slower crawl. Let's see. So we had a request on Sui. I'm sorry about that. So Brett, let's take a look, man. We looked at this a couple days ago on the 4th. Sui looking strong, man. Oh yeah, we were talking about that short yesterday. So I saw some of you guys jump in on the short, and you did the smarter play. We were waiting for. We used this high here. This was the invalidation point up here. But yeah, this short looked really good. We got to the point of control. We broke down turning momentum. Oh no, we didn't. It wasn't until here where we broke momentum. So you've been able to hold that relatively easily till that point. Yeah, I saw you guys flexing your gains. Awesome job on taking that. Now, Sui shortly after that absolutely plummeted. Let's zoom out a bit. Okay, this like awkward regression trend, like little demand zone here that we bounced off of. Got back inside this previous value area. Yeah, crazy V-shaped recovery. And again, like it's more positions to pair for shorts. There's no way you should be jumping in on any longs right now. Looks like we had like about a 30-minute change of character down here. 30-minute lower time frames could help for this move up. But yeah, we're coming into this supply concern, so I'll be preparing for potential reversals. You can delete that. That was for the last short. Delete some of this noise. Mark this horizontal ray. Raise value low. Got this little micro value area I'm going to mark. From here to the moment we left it here. I'm going to mark this liquidity high to the POC. All right. And zoom in on the 15. Cool. Let's zoom in on the 5. We got a divergence forming. You see on the RSI down here, we're downtrending, but the price action is uptrending. That's known as divergence for anyone who's new. And that can help you identify potential exhaustion in the market. So you don't trade on the divergence. You use the divergence as confluence. It's I don't think there's ever a trading strategy out there that will jump in the moment as a confirmation signal to tell you to jump in on a trade. If there is one, it's not going to be good. So I'd recommend if you're having divergence as part of your rules, it's a confluence-based rule. It's not a confirmation-based rule. Confluence-based rules should be defined based on what's going on with the candles. Like what, are you getting a change of character? Are you getting an engulfing response? Or are you getting an SFP? Those are like 3 different forms of confluences. Break of structure is another one too. So if a break structure were to occur alongside all your rules, it's a form of confirmation. But positioning of where it's happening is really important. Very important. The words are kind of like jumping all over the place. But yeah, up here, I'll be waiting for a change of character occurrence on Sui. If we get that change of character, it could happen here, but preferably it happens a little bit higher near this previous value area high. We should probably mark that, even though we have this little box zone. Right? We're fighting against the POC right now. I don't want to add the POC just because it'll just create noise. We already have this level here marked. But if we end up getting that change of character occurrence, we can start targeting this value area low here at 313. We have a previous little zone there, but we already swept through it. So our most local demand zone that we've got is down here. So we could deviate further down to grab that, but I'll be watching this level along the way in case we see buyers start to undercut this level. Sui got hacked. Really? Oh, I think that was a little while ago. Yeah, I don't think that was. Well, I guess a little while ago. It's still kind of recent. It was like, I think it was a few weeks ago or a week ago during this initial drop. I'm not 100% sure. Unless it got hacked again. If that's the case, man, that thing's getting pummeled. So the narrative on Sui, if it got hacked, might shift to be give it some relative weakness if that's the case. I'll have to look more into that. The daily, however, depending on how that closes, it'll give you a tweezer reaction. And tweezer reactions are incredibly bullish or bearish if they're on the upside, you know. Just one high? Okay, all right. And depending on the type of hack, usually hacks have short-term impact over price action because they usually have it resolved. But it all depends on the hack, right? Sometimes it can completely destroy an asset. Other times they'll have insurance to back it, or they'll get VCs to front the cost, like Solana did. Like Solana got destroyed by FTX, and they got like VCs to help bring it back up when it was around $16 to boost its liquidity, and they pay the VCs interest. Let's see. Oh, we got an SFP on Solana, and then we got a second sweep here. So we came up, grabbed this liquidity, closed back inside the range. This is why placement's pretty important too. If you get like an SFP, you want to have lots of bearish confluence to make sure you get that full induced reversal. This candle here, depending on how it closes, could give it a good opportunity for a reversal. We swept the newly added liquidity right after. What is this high? The high here is 151.80. The high here is 152. Okay, so this isn't an SFP candle. It's a little bit too high. A little awkward. So maybe we'll come up and grab. Oh, my bad. Maybe we'll come up and grab this. Doesn't want anyone in it. Yeah, there might be a 5-minute low quality SFP confirming it. Yeah, fairly low quality. I agree. Feels a little weird. It won't stop people from jumping in on that though. Probably someone already in. They're short. Stop loss guard there. Targeting. This is a primary bearish concern. This is the current strong low after we got the break of structure here. Wicks count. You prefer a break structure with price acceptance, and that technically is price acceptance because it is a higher close than over here, but it's so weak. Let's see it fall down. And maybe we'll build the Batman head and shoulders. What would that look like? The R&R. 1 to 1.78 to potentially 1 to 1.59 or 2.59. So you risk lose $100 to try to gain 175 here, or you risk lose $100 in hopes for the break for $261. Rashad has a sell position of Bitcoin. So you're in short? How low, man? Hopefully he started that around 110K, right? Not down here. What would be the target on Solana if the 15-minute SFP confirms? 15-minute. Oh, it's here? Yeah. Actually, it's, yeah, you'd watch the local base here. 150.44. And technically, the textbook would be here. 150.88 is the textbook target. It's your range, so that based on the time frame you look at, it's your range lows that you watch. And this is the kind of like the active range being built. So you'd watch here for the 15-minute close. So it's the same as the 5. Yeah, it's actually as a 5. It's being a little slippery fish, man. It's being... They got 42 people watching on YouTube, 21 on Twitter or X. We have a community call that starts in 5 minutes with David. For anyone who is interested in learning swing trading and improving your mindset as a trader, helping you control your FOMO and your FUD. David's really good at that kind of stuff. That's a good point, Andrew. DeFi is a great way to learn and keep active between trades. Like today, looking into Soul Mail Official. There's always something new. Yeah. There's a lot of cool platforms that allow you to track airdrops. Coinbase used to be the one you go to. It used to be the go-to. Now, if you go to Coinbase, they never ever have anything listed for airdrops. Either their RSS feed system has been broken for the past year, or the guy they hired to list it just pieced out. All right, we're close to the 5-minute and 15-minute target of the SFP here. We want to break this. SFPs, think of them like the one time where your strong lows are being targeted, like they're under attack. So when the SFP occurs, an SFP usually induces a brand new strong low. But the lack of acceptance in the liquidity sweep, it usually gives enough strength to attack that strong low. So think of it like your strong low is under attack whenever these occur. Now we're coming down. This is where we anticipate a potential reversal. But if we break that, this is our next key level you're going to want to watch right here. Yeah. Andrew just pulled a Sol fib. Asia high is on the 3.8. London low is on the 0.5. Asia low is on the 7.8. That seems like magic. That doesn't make sense. That's very interesting. Crypto Ace 33. Go to earn on Coinbase. That's a good one too. Super like low rewards. You're getting like $3 to $5, but you can just keep failing the test until you get it right and you'll get free money. It seems like a small amount of money, but I once held one of the rewards. I think it was File when they first got listed on Coinbase. I don't remember what it was, but the $10 turned to like $100 and some dollars, just leaving it there to do nothing. It's also good for discovery, taking those like little earned tests on Coinbase. But by the time you're like taking a test on Coinbase to earn free tokens, it's a little bit too late to buy it. If you're trying to get rich, I mean, I guess there's tons of ways to make money than trying to get early on stuff. Rather, yeah, in the crypto space. Mumu was saying, it's like that for XRP. Did the test, forgot about it, and went off. Yeah. Your best airdrop was Uniswap. Yeah, Uniswap is recorded, I think, still today to give the largest airdrop in history. I know what you're talking about. That's my best airdrop, I think, was, if we're all comparing, I think it was the Jupiter one. Because I didn't have to do anything for it. Really, I was just doing my own stuff on the Solana network. Didn't require any extra residual work, and then I just got like $1,600. And then someone in the community told me to claim it because I did a lot of activity on the Solana network, and I just gave him half the reward for like pointing it out because I wouldn't have got the money without him. So yeah. Piercing once ago, he went on a token and kept losing money over time despite the price staying the exact same. It didn't seem to make sense at the time. No clue what happened exactly. Huh. Kept losing money over time. Was it algo? It could have been the rebalancing protocol taking away tokens. There's some assets that have weird protocols that take away tokens to kind of like adjust the supply to induce a pump. That kind of stuff I don't hold. Or maybe there might be something wrong with your wallet. All right, we got the 5-minute change of character currents. So 5 minutes now bearish. I'm still anticipating a bounce or a pullback here. But at this point, I'd recommend potentially taking some off the table or closing the whole trade if you went in on this. But we already hit the target for the 15-minute SFP. We already hit the target for the 5-minute SFP. So from here, it's like roughly a 1 to 2 where we are. Karen just wants to short everything. FOMO and walk away. Yeah. Yeah. Everything's positioned to be bearish. Oh, we got the change of character on the 5-minute for Sui. And so, yeah, we're anticipating for it to pull back to value low. Litecoin, tap the supply concern. The 5-minute. Not a tweezer reaction, but it's still bearish reaction. Is that 3-minute SFP? No. 2 equal highs. It's wild how things line up like that. Uh, yeah. Well, it does it from the pairing influence, right? It's gonna be less and less like that in crypto land. The trend right now, ever since 2020, is asset creators are using USDT as their primary pairing reserve. So they won't be able to use Bitcoin, for example, to help induce a pump on their assets. So the more and more you see assets use stablecoins as their pairing reserves, the less and less correlation they're going to have with Bitcoin. There's still going to be a correlative effect, but it's not going to be as immediate or as strong that you're used to seeing. Because like right now, like if you look at like a Chainlink, for example, if Bitcoin drops, like Chainlink has a lot of pairing liquidity with Bitcoin. Ethereum has a lot of pairing liquidity with Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin drops, they'll drop like pretty much immediately alongside it, even without sellers. Like sellers do not have to induce the drop. The liquidity reserves that they're backed by are dropping, which backs their valuation too. We are close to hitting that target. I'm not sure what that means, bro, but makes me, I got a drink, so I'm gonna try to take it. Yeah, we're close to grabbing that. Virtual got some relative strength. It's barely pulling back while everything else is going down. Ethereum just tapped its uptrending momentum as resistance, but it did it inside the value area, so we can use the value area as support now. And we built a structural base here that could be used as support as well. What's the lowest you think will go on Bitcoin today? If we're limiting it to 24 hours? And it really depends on what this. So let's go back to Bitcoin. The lowest I could see it go is maybe 102.5. If it goes down low, like we could establish a range above this point of control. Because right now we're trying to ping pong between the previous value area low and the active point of control. It's marked as previous right now, but it's the active one. So here, we're at the active value area high and that previous value area low. I got to swap those. But basically here we could establish a potential range using the VWAP as a good base too. If we break this, we can go lower to here. So I think absolute worst case scenario, we can get a full rotation down to 102.5 area. Best case scenario, we hold above the VWAP. We establish a range against the previous value area low to combat the sellers to eventually break through. And then that would give a daily engulfing response if that were to occur, which could lead to a short-term uptrend to 106K. Okay. Hey, DeFi Ant. How you doing, man? DeFi Ant. Okay. How are you doing, Sui? Well, not Sui, Solana. Yeah, we wick grabbed anything that was roughly right below here. I think we could still kind of climb back down, but yeah, we're at a 1 to 2 zone, so it's a good spot to close if you have that R&R. The time of confirmation was on this candle, but it's really ugly. Yeah. So I understand anyone not taking that trade. It sucks when you prepare for an SFP and then it plays out exactly the way you predict it, where it's going to go, but how it confirms. The analysis paralysis might have kept you out, but or the lack of like proper acceptance that you would normally want to look for. It was only off by a few dollars. Not even. It's just a penny. Literally off by a penny. Do you think Altcoin is still pushing back? Let's take a look. Oh, I definitely don't have a Altcoin chart. So let me see. I'll look at them next. See. Looks like the last time I looked at it was for this break of structure continuation. And we lost the momentum here. Ever since we lost momentum, we kind of established a range in this area. With this being our little demand zone over here. We just generated a 200-day EMA. We got a uptrending momentum here. That was lost. Local demand. And the technical target for this regression trend right here is the bottom down here. So mark this little demand zone. Send it back. Okay, the confluence of the 200-day EMA is brand spanking new, so don't trust it too much. There probably isn't any algorithmic bots connected to something like that yet for it. We have downtrending momentum here that you can monitor to tell you the pace in which we'd likely get down here. It isn't a downtrend. So I'll be focusing mostly on shorts until we get to this demand zone where you can prepare for the confluence of the 200-day EMA, the confluence of this demand zone, and where the liquidity basically ends for this regression trend. We visualize the order flow where the liquidity is. We have taken all this. We've taken all this. Whenever we take liquidity, think of it as like the area of confluence that could induce a reversal, right? So you can see every time we grab liquidity, we shortly have like these short-term reversals, short-term reversal. And then here, it might not just be short-term because at this point, there's enough confluence that we could break momentum. And if we break momentum, we could go range bound in here for a little bit. So if we're looking for a good long position, I'd wait. I'll just be patient, sit on your hands until around 77 cents. Around that area, it could be a good spot to prepare for a stronger reversal. You can mark your fixed range from here to here. And just keep adjusting this until we get lower and lower because you're going to need to use this data to help you identify targets. So it's value area low here. If we get that change of character occurrence, you're going to be mindful of the point of control. But overall, you can target the value area high. And if we use the value area high support, then you can start targeting the extreme highs. Oh yeah, we got double distribution here because it's a young value area. It's a young, well, 4-hour value area, I guess. It's not fully established until we get that secondary change of character, and then the value area structural base will look a lot more dependable for return value data. Zooming in lower time frames. Let's go to the 15-minute. Get divergence forming. See how this is going higher, going lower. So probably 30-minute divergence. Yeah, it's not showing it on my chart, but it's there. Yeah, here in confluence with the test of momentum and getting to supply concern, if we break this low, right here, the sell side liquidity could induce a move down back to at least this demand zone, where you can ultimately target the point of control, but just be mindful of what could occur here. Because just because we're targeting the value area low doesn't mean we have to get there, right? Prepare for those opposing changes of character around these levels, because it could induce full rotations back up to the value area high. It happens all the time. So 102.651. You want to wait for a 15-minute candle close below this area, stop loss guard here, target POC. Watch it for this demand. If we get the continuation from here, you can target the value area low, which would be like a 30% correction. Honestly, that's huge. Well, that's the kind of percentages we deal with, though, with these low market cap, weird meme coins. So super common. Up, down, left, right, A, B. Sounds like a cheat code for. That's funny. All right, guys, I got about 15 minutes left. Is there any other assets you want to look at? The Solana update. We're hitting our head off a POC right now. Hopefully you guys took some profit at your 1-2. Looks like it's trying to climb its way back up a bit. It could build an ascending support level for like a head and shoulders. We did ETH already. We could take a look at tail. Let's see what we got there. I don't think we have a tail chart. Let me double check. I feel like we do. We do. Okay. April 21st was the last time we looked at tail. A little while ago. We had a key level here marked for a long. Yeah. I think I remember that trade. It's pretty. The stars kind of aligned for that one, honestly. That was a really easy trade setup. So this is kind of exactly what I look for every time we establish a value area. To give you a quick lesson on value areas, when you can start pulling a value area is when you have built, you see an impulse move, a base, another impulse move up, and then we get that change of character occurrence. At that moment, you can assume that the demand zone created from that base can be used as a form of support. So you can pull a value area during that moment, but it's young and unreliable during that time. But it's going to at least give you a value area low where 70% of the volume resides is your value area, right? So the interest will begin to end at that value area low. So you can anticipate potential buyers at the bottom of an interest level. And with the confluence of demand zone like this, right? And then you get the change of character occurrence right here. you target down here. So you target down here. Same thing with if it's the opposite's true too. So we come down, base, impulse move down, change a character occurrence. You'd assume this as a potential high for your range, just like you assume this is low for your range. You target that area, which would likely be the value area high for your range the moment you get your change of character occurrence. So you pull your value area from here to here. And then once you get your second change of character occurrence, then your value area has aged to the point where you can actually trust it. So this is if you want to get your value area pulls early to anticipate a move down. But beginners, I would recommend waiting for the 2 change of character rule before pulling your fixed ranges until you fully established, like got a really good grip over how to trade value areas and stuff. Because trying to pull them early, it seems easy for me right now, but like for a beginner, it takes a little bit of time to get used to stuff like that. But yeah, Teo was a really good example of that last time we were here. Base, change character, downtrending momentum, broke momentum at our key area of interest, value area low, demand zone, had our key level for our move to target the value area high. We went right past it and we got to here. I closed the trade too early. But yeah, it ran right up. It's all good though. Because then that can compound. Don't ever beat yourself up for closing your trades early because you can compound it into your next trade and you're still giving yourself a raise. So this is a kind of an extreme example of what we were just talking about. We got an impulse move up, built a large base, another impulse move up. We get our change of character occurrence right here. And we kind of like established a range using this as support initially, right? And then break of momentum, change of character, our demand, and came up. We don't always get full acceptance into the demand zone. Actually, most of the time we don't. Most of the time we tap the ceiling of it and then go up. And our second tap is usually stronger to break through it because there's less residual buyers at those highs. So here, this example, we kind of went like, we bounced off it once, didn't go very far, then we had full on acceptance within it. So if we came back down here, I would trust this a heck of a lot less because we completely mitigate the entire thing after we pumped this time. Now we come back to where we are now. We've tapped it twice. And now we're inside this previous value area or this demand zone, which is big enough to have its own value area, honestly, right here. So let's zoom in. We have our downtrending momentum. Should mark our value area high. Very high. Value area low. And point of control. Okay, and then you can see that when we came in, we bounced off it initially. We got that break of structure acceptance here. And they got that full rotation down to the value area low as soon as we got that break of structure acceptance. We came up, we hit the value area high as resistance, mitigated supply concern here and here. That supply's a lot weaker, but it could be enough to induce a full reversal back down to the value area low soon. We have the downtrending momentum alongside with the uptrending momentum that we just recently lost. 15-minute structure here. That's 5-minute. Oh, that's awkward. 5-minute broke. So 5 minutes bearish. 15-minute. This candle's messing with my brain a little bit here. And we swept that high. Okay. So we technically got to change character on the 15 and the 5. Technically. So I'm expecting a full reversal soon on Teo with the downtrending momentum suppressing the price action. We got a couple changes of character occurrences that can help define a move back down to this point of control. If we were to keep going up, this would be an area where I would anticipate a reversal. But this one's not going to be. It'll become easier to trade if we get up here. But yeah, we could get that full reversal here. I could see us potentially establishing like a head and shoulders pattern. Since we are already bearish right now on the 15 and the 5, you could bring us down to this point of control for a bounce, hit the momentum again, and then get that full rotation back down to the previous value low. If we like do an awkward crawl up to here, then we'd have to wait for more structure to define when's a good safe spot to enter our short. I'm bearish on Teo right now, but it's ugly to trade. There's easier stuff to trade right now. If Bitcoin's even getting easier right now for our setup. We are at key levels here, but it's about to rotate and change to here in a moment if we get this higher high. Are we triple topping on Solana? We could triple top here. It's like a 2-minute change of character occurrence against these highs to front run it. Congrats to anyone who got in and out of the SFP. That's not too bad. I didn't take it, but it was definitely screaming that I was going down. Virtual still coming up to our comfort zone. Litecoin got the higher high. So now we have a key level that we can actually monitor. So Litecoin's now at building some confluence for a short. The previous point of control, supply concern. Might double top to come down. And the double top would also induce a change of character because we got the higher high. Barely higher high, but we got it. Oh, we got the candle close. Got a body close here. We got flat line candle. So if you ever see a flat line candle, just so you guys are aware, like this, and then the next candle is engulfing. That's a visual representation of a sell wall. So you can find out just from the structure if there's likely a sell wall in an area. We could find out for sure by looking at the order books, though. Why using Bitcoin as collateral was a good thing? Try to understand your question, but if you're using Bitcoin as collateral, I'm assuming you're talking about inverse perpetuals. If you're trading with inverse perpetuals, the good thing about it is that you will not be selling your Bitcoin, and you can put your Bitcoin in an active position. If you mean Bitcoin as collateral for a loan, I wouldn't normally recommend it unless you're using a platform that's incredibly safe. But if you're using it for a loan, you want to make sure that the growth of Bitcoin outpaces the interest that they're going to be charging you. So the collateral, you can essentially use it as a tool to close your loan position. We have a sell wall on Bitcoin at 104,990, but I think that's a little bit further than where we currently are. 104,990 is up here. So we have sellers preparing just below this point of control. It doesn't look big enough to be a market maker. It's about 100. Oh, maybe it is. It's 400 Bitcoin. Yeah, it's definitely big enough to be a market maker. For some reason, I thought I saw 100 Bitcoin, but it's 430. 430 Bitcoin waiting to be sold at 14990. Right. Yeah, right here. Like we're literally right below the point control. There you go. Got that marked. So if anyone's using my charts, you can see it. So yeah, if we're coming up there, definitely prepare for a potential. We have visual confluence of data telling us that there's sellers waiting there, along with that point of control. We also have liquidity that's resting from above this wick right here. Oh, tons and tons of confluence there. And that will probably lead to a signal in the community there for a short if we manage to get up there. But now we can rotate our key level to here. If we get another break of structure, we rotate a key level there, and so on and so forth. And then we can use it as confluence for a change of character. Do you think a pullback to 95K is still a possible play? I think it's more possible now than it was yesterday, that's for sure. Because we got a daily change of character, and after a change of character occurrence, it's very common for us to have a pullback. But we normally will hold the local high right here. So this is the invalidation point to going to 95K. So if we come up here and break this, we're not going to likely go to 95K for a little while. We can still go down there in the future. But for now, if we broke this high, we'd probably just get a rotation back to the high and likely go range bound. But it's this level right here that's the huge guardian, right? We had the 50-day EMA with the macro valley area high. We had the liquidity that was swept here. All that induced a reversal to where we currently are now. And we could potentially get a tweeter reaction, which is insanely bullish. So we might pause our ability to come back down to like the 97K level. But we definitely increased our ability to get down there because next time we return back down here, it's going to be significantly weaker than it was last time. Delete that. Okay. Andrew saying, see X crypto beast talking about big time on MXC. I've done stock did about that exchange. I think I dodged another bullet. MXC is okay if you're looking for an exchange with low fees, but their reserves are very volatile, and they don't ask for enough money from the token creators that get listed on their exchanges. So what ends up happening with these new listings, I'm sure you guys might notice it, but if you try trading on like the low market cap assets, you might have a limit of like $1,000 of what you're allowed to contribute in terms of margin, and they'll lower their leverage and stuff like that to like a max of maybe 10x or 5x and stuff like that. And that's because the reserves that they ask for in order for you to trade it is way too little. The good thing is for the asset creators that are trying to get listed is that it's dirt cheap to get listed on a centralized exchange to get attention. However, it's so cheap that they end up one arbitrage event will basically ruin the liquidity for the asset, and then Mexi either A has to force to delist it, or no one wants to trade it because the slippage is insane. Um, so yeah, so careful with Mexi. Mexi's great, but when you have 10% reserve pumps and dumps all the time, it's a little scary. All it'll take is one bad event, and then you can go insolvent. I think hopefully Mexi understands that. So that's why I don't talk about Mexi very often. I don't want to encourage people to go to that exchange. Just because their fees are lower doesn't mean it's safe to trade. If you're going to do something like Mexi, then Mexi, KSEX. KSEX doesn't even show the reserves, so I'm hoping no one's trading on it, like at all, because you have no idea what they're doing with their money unless they show their reserves. But yeah, any exchanges like them, just be super cautious that don't be trading it just because the fees are low. Pick an exchange based on security, not based on their fees. Mexi is the only way I can do leverage trading as a Canadian. Well, I'm Canadian and I trade on like 4 different exchanges using leverage. And you don't have to use Mexi, man. If you want to pick one with good reserves, I'd recommend Blowfin. And I'm sure, yeah, Andrew is definitely Canadian too. I'd be careful. I don't know myself, but the red flags are starting to go off on that one. Yeah. VPN. Yeah. You can use VPNs to help you get on exchanges that don't require KYC. KYC stands for like know your customer. Basically, there's exchanges that will, I'll let you know the worst thing that will happen to you if, for example, you're in an event where you're trading on an exchange where you are using a VPN and they don't like your KYC. And the day that they enforce KYC, the worst thing that will happen to you is that they'll stop your ability to trade and they'll give you a message saying that you should withdraw your funds. And they want you to do it within 30 days. But if you don't do it within 30 days, your funds are still going to be there. You just won't be able to use them for trading on their platform. And they will force close your trades too. They'll tell you that you need to close it by X amount of time, which is probably the most risky part about it. If you're a martingale trader and you don't use your stop loss and you're trapped in a trade, then you're going to get screwed in a situation like that. So if you're a martingale trader, make sure you're doing it in a spot environment so you can swap and move your assets to another exchange to continue your trade somewhere else. You cannot transfer your futures contracts to another exchange in a futures environment. You're still on KuCoin? Now that's one I don't understand because they won't even let me on at all, and I'm Canadian. Canadian too. You use BingX and Blowfin. Yeah, I use BingX and Blowfin. BingX for my swing trades. I got about 100K on BingX, and I use Blowfin for my scalp trading. And I got about right now 11K. I try to keep it down to 10K. Because without KYC, Blowfin's got like a 20K limit within 24 hours. And I want to be able to move out my funds within 24 hours, so I don't let my surplus from my accounts, because I risk to lose on my scalping account on average $100 to gain 200 or more. And by the end of the month, if it's close to 20K, I make sure I bring it right back down to 10K. And for BingX, same thing. Anything above $100,000, I will take out at the end of the month and bring it back down to 100,000 and move stuff into cold storage or into hot wallets for like liquidity pool staking. So yeah, so eventually I wouldn't like count on liquidity pool staking for like retirement or anything like that, but it's too volatile. But you could leak your funds into other stuff in like a more centralized place, like a dividend stock portfolio or real estate. And liquidity pools are a great way to like funnel your way down to that. So you can do your trading income, right? Trading to LP farms or staking farms. And then from there, you can bring those funds to dividend portfolio. And then from there, you can have that fund your real estate. My drawing and writing with this brush is terrible, but you can retire just off this. You can retire just off that. You can skip this step and go straight to here. You can do whatever the heck you want, right? You can go here to here, here, there. But your goal is to turn your active income into passive income so you don't have to do this as much and focus on just withdrawing from your income sources. So you got to give yourself a chance to retire by investing in stuff that can compound and grow passively. And you could find out the exact amount of money it will take for you to be able to retire with simple math. Like for me, I needed 3.5 million in dividend stocks was my original goal to retire. And I can do that, but like now I'm waiting for the bear market before I could do something like that because all my funds right now are in Bitcoin. So when the bull market ends, that's when you sit on your hands and you wait until the bear market bottom, which sounds hard to call, but it's actually very easy to call the bear market bottom. It's actually far easier to call the bottom of the bear market than it is to call the top of the bull market. Just using on-chain data, like what are everyone's gains at, and you'll be surprised how well this correlates with the stock market environment too. But yeah, just wait for the opportunity zone down here for the bear market, and you start buying your dividend portfolio there so that they can appreciate in growth while simultaneously giving you dividend payouts. And there's portfolios you can build that don't just pay you quarterly, but they also pay you daily. Like there's whole portfolio. You'll need like 50 assets in your portfolio in order to get paid daily, but it's quite intense what you can end up building for yourself. And if you're getting paid out constantly, like liquidity pools are great because you get paid every second, and then you can compound that quickly. So long as it's worth it, you don't want to just withdraw it and then compound it because you want to make sure that there might be fees associated to the withdrawal. So you just compound as quickly as possible. What are your Blowfin, BingX? Yeah, Blowfin, BingX, Coinbase, Kraken. You can use Femex. It's a good one too. I actually just got a sponsorship from Femex, so you'll see me talking about them soon. And don't worry, I'm not accepting sponsorships from anything unless they're safe. But yeah, Femex is safe. But yeah, pick your exchanges based on reserves and safety, not based on the fees. We got our key levels come down here now. All right, we're coming up to that sell wall for Bitcoin. BitGet. BitGet, I don't think you can use BitGet as Canadian. That's one of the ones I kind of got booted from. I used to use it. You can store funds on it, but you can't trade on it. Femex, no, it's spelled like this. I can get you a link for it. One sec here. They just sponsored me, so I do have a link for them. Wherever I could find it. Here it is. You also use BitGet. All right, you got to tell me your secrets, bro. So, BitGet was my one of my favorite exchanges next to Bybit because of their reserves are 2 to 1. they have double what they need. But BitGet was my favorite. Oh, not BitGet. Bybit was my favorite for a long time. It was my very first exchange that I was on where I became profitable. Before Bybit, I was trading a lot on GDAX, which is now known as Coinbase Pro. Yeah, that's where I started trading, was Coinbase. Now it's definitely not profitable on Coinbase. When I started learning stuff, it was on the Bybit exchange, and that's when I became profitable. So maybe I'm a little bit biased to it, but they also have like probably the best reserves in the entire space of every single exchange out there. Madison saying hasn't seen such a strong V-shaped recovery on Bitcoin in a while. Yeah, I agree. Well, we haven't seen such a straight down drop on Bitcoin in a while too. It wasn't a flash crash, but it was pretty close. 5-hour drop, 3%. In terms of monetary value, that's a decent drop. Like $3,700 is a pretty decent drop in 5 hours. But percentage wise, that's really small. We're used to seeing like bigger crashes. Like back when Bitcoin was like below 20K, you could see like in a single candle, sometimes like a 10% drop in just one candle. And now Bitcoin's a lot more stable, so it doesn't do those crazy flash crashes anymore. But that's a crazy good recovery. Yeah, had some warning signs here, double bottom here that we're going to reverse off the 50-day EMA, off the demand zone after grabbing historic liquidity. And here was our key area of concern, and we just busted right through it like it wasn't there. But now we're approaching a 450, 430 Bitcoin sell wall right here alongside the point of control. So I think here is where we're going to expect that reversal. Does Blowfin not accept Proton Mail? That's a good question. Proton Mail is encrypted, so I can see how that could cause issues with your ability to try to verify. No, the messaging system shouldn't be interrupted by that. Maybe there's a good chance, maybe not. Might need to try a different platform. I know some exchanges don't accept like business emails either. So if you like use if I use like Kyle at InvestiShare, it would say it's an invalid email or something like that. So there's some exchanges are like that. So you might have to, if it pops up and says invalid email, then that gives you your answer, man. You might have to use a different email. If you have a Gmail, I recommend let's say your Gmail is like kyle@gmail.com. You can just add like dot exchange, like put the exchange name, so it can be dot blowfin. So you can have it like isolated just for that exchange alone. Those dots allow you to identify like if someone's selling your data and stuff like that too. So if you use like kyle.facebook, you'll definitely see like a bunch of like scam or spam emails from somewhere else when Facebook sells your email data. Andrew bragging about his Hotmail from 96. Yeah. Yeah. I use Outlook and that, which is basically the same thing as Hotmail. Like Hotmail is bought by Microsoft and stuff. Oh, you want to trade Tesla, Andrew? Crazy news on Tesla bounced too quick. Yeah, Trump and Elon are fighting. Let's go to X for a second. I'm sure you guys seen the tweet, the last one. I don't think it caused the drop, but because we live in a simulation, right? We lost the uptrending momentum out of this valley area, confirmed it as resistance, and then Elon tweets about Trump, and I just feel like it just enhanced the volatility, but didn't like. It wasn't the cause of the drop, but it was the cause of the volatility for sure. Kind of just like amplified the emotion in retail. But yeah, they're just like, it feels like they're a couple of toddlers, like brothers, like fighting over like really stupid stuff. Did he delete his post, or did he post like 19 times since then? He's really noisy. He was saying stuff like Trump being on Epstein's list and stuff like that, and it was a huge rave. We just hit that sell wall, guys. We went to as high as 104.988. The sell wall was at 104.990. Let's pull up the order books. Sell wall still there and stronger. So now there's about 20 more Bitcoin there. It's not too much stronger, but got about 450 rather than 430 Bitcoin there. So we could come up and tap that, but we cannot pass it. We cannot go past this until that's fully mitigated. It's not possible. So there's one thing that's helpful with sell walls, like data-driven backed, like concrete walls. You can't get past it without breaking through it. Babylon rulers control everything. Yeah. Bitnex reserves or weeks. What's your thoughts? If I were to pick between Bitnex and weeks, it would be Bitnex. Bitnex has much better stable reserves than weeks. Weeks is in my DMs right now, but yeah, Bitnex, I trust their reserves over. If I were to tell you, you only had one choice between the two, it'd definitely be Bitnex. Brett's saying he has Blowfin account created with Proton, so that might be something the way might be a small user error, man. Or maybe try deleting your cookies and doing all that annoying stuff. You'd be surprised how true that is. And it's not just like people just saying that to get you to do stuff to try to. You actually have to like clear your cookies once in a while to get things to work. It messes up the JavaScript code for some websites. Andrew saying, just 3 days ago, I told a buddy he'll never hear some crazy news because we need a pullback. He's in shock. Yeah, okay. One thing that's really fun to do is when you guys get really good at trading, and we're in a more of a larger structure that's created, like let's say 5 or 6 days hold of range bound price action, and then the moment we confirm the exit to the downside or the upside you'll see green candle will have green candle news slapped on it, right? And there's news reporters that will have a bullish story and a bearish story. And when we break out of the range, when we confirm that break, the bullish story gets published. We break out of the range, and we confirm it breaks to the downside, the bearish story gets published. They always have one ready for both sides, so we can have a better chance of clicks. It's a market maker tactic. So you can pretend you're like a fortune teller in your family and say, like, the moment something breaks, you can say something bad in the news is about to occur. And then it'll happen every fucking time, every single time. Same here. And then you can just troll your family doing stuff like that. It makes you feel like you live in a simulation, but it's just because like they have a story like ready for both directions. It cost these market makers are jumping with a $40 million positions. And so they're using a large amount of liquidity, and they need to induce retail to add liquidity on both directions, right? And the news helps drive that. It costs $10,000 to go to CoinDesk and ask them to post in all their outlets. And they have like 1,500 outlets. So once you post on CoinDesk, it doesn't just go on CoinDesk, it goes to like 1,500 like smaller websites as well. And if you're trading with this much money, to induce volatility through news and to induce like retail activity through news, it's a pretty easy like handover, like in fees. And they refuse to believe it until after you tell them. Yeah, it's like playing a big club, paying someone to games, don't even care how to know. Yeah, Kyle, you better be long like Donkey Kong. I am preparing for a short, but I missed the long. I missed the long down here. Yeah. I was letting everyone else know to prepare for the long, but I didn't get in myself. Kids, overpowered. Yeah, kids, and I had stuff to do for the community that want to work on, get some stuff finished. Now, yeah, I'm waiting for that rejection off the sell wall here. Which comes first, the news or the move? The move, the confirmation of the move comes first. Then the news follows. So this is the confirmation of the move here. And then the news follows. Kyle, have you played around with the new Legend Coin Glass chart that has liquidity heat maps? I have, and it's pretty cool. I'd recommend it to everybody. It's free to use, right? They haven't, they're not charging anybody for it. They might charge in the future for some stuff. They look like they have a referral-based system, so they're. Look, you go over here on CoinGlass, you'll see the navigation bar. There's a legend that says new for anyone who wants to try it out. And then you get your own chart. And here you get a your VPVR set up. You can get your, for some reason, mine's all in Chinese. It's got, no, that's it's like Japanese. I see Kenji in there. But yeah, this thing's awesome. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's taking a while for it to populate the data up here for a second, but so up here, I don't know why mine's all in a different language, but yeah, if you have it in English, it's pretty darn helpful. So you, luckily BPVR, you can see that in English. It's just a acronym, right? But yeah, it'll normally how it works. If I was able to show you in English how to pull it up, you can actually see your heat map live. You can only use the 15-minute time frame. I've been asked this a lot. How do you change the time frame? How do you change the time frame? You can't change the time frame because their API data pulls their heat map data every 15 minutes. So they unless they can speed that up, they can't allow like a lower time frame. So it's the same kind of concept as this. It gets the API request once every 15 minutes. Does it get pulled data out from like Binance and stuff like that to create these charts, and does the exact same thing with these ones too. But I recommend this, guys. They have if I could show you, it'd be a lot more. You see the reasoning for why you would want to use it. But essentially, it's a combination of this chart onto here where you can actually see the heat map data and use it with I'll use it coupled with your exchange or your trading view setup. Because there is some things it doesn't have, some things that does have, but it's definitely something you would want to have open on your monitor for sure. You could change the time frame in the bottom intervals. No way. No way. Well, it's in. I see it. Okay, 5 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute. So it's able to get that data pulled and okay, so it just blocks it differently for the lower time frames. It makes sense. But the heat map data only comes up every 15 minutes. That's interesting that you can break it down. On my other computer, it's not in a whole other language, so thanks for showing me that. That's pretty interesting. Just add more utility to the charts for me. But yeah, I definitely recommend anyone checking it out. Pretty cool chart. I think they also have footprints too, which is super handy. Top right. 80, top right. Click the globe. Thanks, man. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, now we're in English. You can tell I just started using it. So yeah, we got there's the heat map here. Let me just delete this one because they're seeing it having an issue. Could be the pair that I used. Liquidity heat map. Okay, it's the pair. So I gotta switch to Binance. There we go. Now it's starting to load it. So now it's showing the heat map data. So you can't, there's certain pairs you can't use in order for it to give you the liquidity data that you need. And we know they get most of their data from Binance for their other tools. So it makes sense for the Binance one to work in. But Bybit's such a better chart. Now these bubbles are a representation of large orders coming through. Yeah, there's still some things I want to learn about it before I talk about it too much, but it's really freaking interesting. Up here, you can adjust the sensitivity of your heat map. Right, don't make it too noisy, but you can just focus on the core areas of interest. And it looks like it's all a representation in terms of size based on the amount of Bitcoin and not based on the amount of like dollar value volume. So you just have to multiply it in your head how much that is in dollar value. So for example, if it's at 105,000, you have to multiply the amount of Bitcoin in that area by that, so you know how much volume would need to be contributed to mitigate that entire liquidity level. Pretty cool. All right, guys, I've got to head out. Actually, I had to leave like a half an hour ago. Yeah, I got to head out. You can send 1 Bitcoin to my Bluefin account for the advice. All right, sounds good, man. I'll chuck you a Satoshi or two. How about that? Sounds good. 102,371 seems to have a lot of liquidity. Yeah, like the return back down. Yeah, I could see that. Right off this break of structure is what you're talking about here. So I could see reasoning for us to come back down to that low. Right now, we're trying to get acceptance into a previous valley area right now. See here. So if we get the rejection, we can pull back and we can essentially potentially see the previous valley area high and the previous valley area low in conflict with each other, inducing a reversal there. So I got hiccups. But yeah, here we have a sell wall at the point of control. That's going to likely cause a pullback to the valley area low. Look for a low time frame change of character occurrence to help confirm that reversal before taking action. Now, we did have a key level here, but that can be deleted now. What we want to see is what we just got on the 5 minutes. Let me just do a flicker really quick. Check our Argus, okay, and then just grab our TR main. Yeah, we just need like a proper, healthier pullback. Maybe like 1 or 2 more candles down. Higher high, change character, target here. Unless you have a low time frame response, see 2-minute structure. Yeah, we have a healthier pullback on the 2-minute. Grab the liquidity, hit the sell wall, come down, get the change of character, and target these lows. But that liquidity down there is heavily guarded. It could take some time to get back down there. We're back above this value area, so I think that we could start going range bound here again. If we get a V-shaped recovery, since we got a V-shaped recovery, this could help induce a potential like a Wyckoff accumulation state where we come up, pull back again, we get a full reversal up. We'll see. The daily is looking insanely bullish right now. If we hold our current level, so we can get an engulfing response. We get tweezer engulfing response off these lows. It could induce a full rotation back up to this high at 106.7. It's intense. Crazy moves. So congrats to anyone who took the double bottom break down here. Congrats to anyone who took the shorts. There's some killer shorts. But the bias internally is starting to shift bullish, but macro, it's starting to shift more bearish for sure. All right, guys, you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Yeah, everyone who's liked the streams, everyone who subscribes, I really appreciate your help. It helps the algorithm boost the channel and try to get us out there. Reach out to me in the Discord if you need help with anything. I have my handle down below the Discord, so make sure you check that if you're getting a message from me that you check it is my actual handle, because there's a lot of scammers out there that are trying to betray, grab your money from your account. So yeah, I'll never ask you for money. So please be safe and have yourself an amazing day. Again, reach out to me if you need any help. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. It's the weekend, so try to relax. Don't trade as much during the weekend than during the week. There's less market maker activity, so things are a little bit less predictable. I promise your win rate will increase if you trade less on the weekend. 80 suggesting join the Discord paid version. We do this all day with multiple traders, and there's so much value. You can get your money back in one trade if you learn and you apply. Appreciate that, man. All right, guys, you have a great day.